The UK will include to struggle Europe elections, in spite hopes of the by the government a Brexit transactions would be made by later, says the PM's in fact vice. The voice is due on May 23, but Theresa May told the UK would not include to get portion if MPs coordinated a Brexit schedule at first. Currently, David Lidington says sadly it is no departure to be probable to complete how trial up the day the UK juridically has to get portion. He told the by the government would try to do the latency as brief as probable. The UK was due to keep the EU on March 29, but as no transactions was coordinated by Parliament, the EU stretched the last date to October 31. It can keep the block over, but if the UK has not left word by the May 23, it is juridically required to get portion in the EU-wide survey and to email MEPs to Brussels. The by the government has renewed negotiations in Labour to try to break down the impasse in Parliament above the regulation of withdrawing of the EU. It has pledged how if no trade-off is achieved, it will propose indicating votes on probable following stairs to Parliament. A quantity of some parties include already announced their candidates and start up their Europe poll campaigns, but the Conservative Party include yet to do the identical. Office Space Secretary Mr. Lidington told, taking into account how slight period down there is, it is sadly not departure to be probable to complete how trial up the day hows juridically due for the Europe Parliament elections. We really lot hoped how we would be capable to get our output graded so how those elections did not include to get location, but juridically they do include to get location except our departure has been taking into account legislative impact. Mr. Lidington told the by the government would be doubling efforts in its negotiations in some parties to discover a way striker to do certainly how the latency following this elections is as brief as probable. And he told how perfect MEPs elect for by the UK would never include to get their seats in the Europe Parliament, as the meeting does not begin before July. We would love to be in a position surely to get them made and dusted by the summer interruption, he added. Though if and sudden transactions were to come in the following few days among the Conservative Party and Labour, it would just be a really preliminary at first move to Brexit, in no warranty how it would delight a Parliament most. And a at first move isn't quite. The conclusions of recent monthly's EU Summit Conference, coordinated by all EU leaders consisting Theresa May, told how if the Brexit departure treaty has not been ratified in Parliament by May 22, the Europe elections will include to get location in the UK. The ratifying trial tool Parliament would include to undergo a significant voice on the departure treaty. This transactions agreed among the by the government and the EU, and later rotated in UK law in the shape of a departure treaty draft. Or, as Mr. Lidington has now conceded officially, period to do all of how has run of. Several Brexiters are irate at Mrs. May's efforts to discover a trade-off in Labour following her transactions in the EU was efficaciously discarded by MPs 3 times. One guideline Eurosceptic, Sir Draft Cash Money, said the Click associate this period has go for the PM to abandon NG as necessary to be taking into account a day. But Chancellor Philip Hammond protected the Crucifix Party negotiations, offering the by the government had no some stock option. Dark Chancellor John McDonnell told he was hoping to see motion of by the government while negotiations restart the afternoon. He told they would go on to the otherwise of the 1 week, and later we'll see wherever we're on. The poll in May will see 751 MEPs shipped to the Europe Parliament to do laws and endorse budgets for the EU. Every nation is posted a set quantity of seats, depending on the amount of its people. The least term, Malta, people, about part a millionth, has 6 MEPs, time the greatest, Germany, people, 82 millionth, has 96. The UK is separated in 12 regions, every provided by among 3 and 10 MEPs depending on people amount, and in a full of 73. Seats in England, Scotland and Wales are decorated to parties onto their stake of the voice, later to the candidates on the inclusive painted up by the parties. One day the UK has leftward the EU, its seats will be separated up among the some 27 term state.